Today, the word theater or drama is perceived to involve acting performances for entertainment purposes, nothing less, nothing more, just another form of enjoyment. But that wasn't always the case, especially during ancient Greek. Let's travel all the way back to where it all started, the 6th century BCE. There was a temple in ancient Athens that later became a theater in the 5th century BCE called the Theater of Dionysia. Consequently, became the world's first theater and the birthplace of Greek drama. This is where a religious festival known as the City Dionysia were held to honor the Greek god of wine, Dionysus. The festival includes sacrifices and offerings, theatrical performances, as well as drama competitions, all in the name of religion. Then, of course, the emergence of notable playwrights and memorable plays such as Antigone and Oedipus Rex by Sophocles or The Trojan Woman by Euripides. Oh, need I mention, they were all tragedies. Of course, there were comedy plays as well, like Plautus by Aristophanes. But nothing can educate people better other than to instill fear within them by showcasing tragedy with moral lessons. The period where theater is heavily infused with religion was during the 5th century CE. Right after the downfall of Roman Empire in 476 CE and before the glorious era of Renaissance. They were the dreadful Dark Ages, or just like its position, the Middle Ages, or the medieval. According to Britannica, the Middle Ages lasted roughly around 1,000 years. During this medieval period, life was harsh. Everything horrible that could possibly happen to a civilization happened. Famine, check. Wars, check. Deadly plague that took millions of lives, check. Low life expectancy, check. Needless to say, to be alive during this era was torture. Contrastingly, on the other side of the world, the Islamic civilization was thriving. It has already begun when the most beloved Prophet Muhammad was born in 570 CE. It continues even after his reign ended in 632 CE up until the 11th century CE, where numerous achievements such as the advancement of astronomy, mathematics, and medicine, as well as many art forms, remained flourishing during what was called the Golden Age. While the Islamic world was thriving, Europe was clinging to religion as the cornerstone of life and society. During the Middle Ages, theater took on a new purpose. It became a tool for teaching Christian doctrine. Plays like The Mystery of Adam and Everyman reminded audiences of the eternal struggle between good and evil, salvation and damnation. Drama, much like life, revolved entirely around God. In other words, they were still pretty much part of religious devotion. So you might be wondering when and how did theater become less religious? Well, as the time marched on, so did ideas. By the 15th century, the Renaissance was dawning, and with it came a cultural revolution. Europe was stepping out of the shadow of the Middle Age, embracing the rediscovery of classical antiquity, scientific inquiry, and human potential. Religion, though still central, was beginning to share the stage with something new, secularism. Enter the early modern period, the perfect storm of change. The invention of the printing press, the Protestant Reformation, and the flourishing of humanism all worked to reshape the worldview of time. Amidst the intellectual upheaval, Christopher Marlowe penned Dr. Faustus, a play that encapsulates this monumental shift. Faustus' journey is emblematic of the cultural and intellectual shifts of the early modern era. In the medieval period, the church was the ultimate authority, and knowledge was bound to religious dogma. But the Renaissance encouraged questioning, discovery, and the pursuit of worldly accomplishments. Faustus, like many Renaissance thinkers, sought to transcend the limitations of traditional belief, but at grave cost. In many ways, Dr. Faustus embodies the early modern period's growing secularism, a world where religion still loomed large but no longer dictated every aspect of life. It marks the beginning of a cultural evolution, one that set the stage for the Enlightenment and even the secular values of modern society. The Enlightenment, also called the Age of Reason, was a late 17th and 18th century intellectual movement in Europe. Just like its name, this era put emphasis on reason, individualism, and skepticism. This movement was greatly influenced by the upsurge of Enlightenment thinkers, such as Isaac Newton, John Locke, and Voltaire. Let's talk Voltaire. Why? Because he argued for the separation of church and state, saying how the church should not have any power over the state. He put possibly the most rebellious ideas in the minds of the people, turning them against the most superior institution during that era. The fact that he was a prolific writer did not help either. He had produced works in almost every literary form that helped spread the Enlightenment ideals to vast audiences. At the same time, caused by the emphasis of science over blind faith and reason over superstition, a transformative movement was happening. Introducing the Industrial Age. Industrial Age, or the Industrial Revolution, was when society experienced a significant shift from agricultural to industrial economies happened. The skyrocketed advancements of technology, such as the steam engine, changes people's view about the universe and only deepened their beliefs in science and reason over faith or God. Thus, secularism is no longer a taboo. It is now a norm. Today, Marlowe's Dr. Faustus still resonates. It captures a pivotal moment in history where humanity dared to question, to reach, and to aspire. And though centuries have passed, the play's themes remain timeless, challenging us to consider the cost of our ambitions and the balance between faith and reason. So, are we like Faustus, still making our own bargains with the unknown?